Come closer, friend. The night is thick, and the wind has a bite to it. But our fire is warm, and the woods, for now, keep their distance. Take a seat. There's room enough for one more. Out here beneath these ancient trees, stories cling to the shadows like mist. Some are meant to be warnings. Some are just meant to keep you company till dawn. Rest your legs. Feel the heat in your hands and listen close. For in these wild places, the line between myth and memory is thinner than you think. Let me tell you a story I heard not long ago. A story of two Lochs, seemingly different, but spookily the same. If you've got the nerve, I promise you'll remember it next time you stand by the shore of the Loch and gaze upon the rocks. Are those etchings just nature, or someone's name appearing letter by letter? In the northwest corner of Scotland, where the mountains hunch over the land like old men, and the wind never learns to be still, there's a loch called Duchess. It's not marked on most maps. The locals say that's for the best. The water is so dark it looks black even at noon, and no one ever remembers seeing the bottom. Not even the old men who rowed their father's boats before the war. They say Loch Duchess is hungry, and it always has been. Every summer, when the gorse thickened and the air buzzed with midges, the boys of Glenaird would gather at the water's edge, daring each other with stories. The loch will swallow you whole if you swim alone, they'd whisper, wide-eyed, half believing what their grandmothers had muttered over peat fires. The list of the lost was long. A crofter's daughter in 1918, a tinker in the 50s, two soldiers who tried to outdrink the war, always alone, always after midnight. But Jamie Mackay was sick of being afraid. 16, all sharp elbows and louder laughter. Jamie was the first to call the others cowards when they hesitated at the shore. His friends rolled their eyes. Everyone knew Jamie wouldn't go farther than his knees. If you're so brave, prove it, Rory said one night, tossing a flat stone into the black. Swim across at midnight. Jamie spat in the dirt, the firelight flickering in his eyes. Aye, I'll do it. Tonight, you'll see. The others hooted but fell quiet when Jamie started shedding his clothes. Shirt, boots, jeans, all folded in a neat pile on the gravel. The air was thick with mist and the smell of pine sap. From the woods, a tawny owl called, lonely and far away. Jamie walked barefoot over the stones, wincing at the cold, but refusing to look back. The loch's surface was glass, not a ripple or a wave. It felt like stepping into a painting. He waded in, sucking in a breath as the water closed around his legs. It was so cold, it felt like knives, but he gritted his teeth and plunged forward. The cold was everywhere, in his bones, in his chest, in his head. He swam hard, arms slicing, every sound muffled by the great, waiting hush of the loch. The shore faded behind him. He could barely make out the fire where his friends watched, too stunned or ashamed to shout. He told himself it was just water. It was just a story. But halfway across, a strange heaviness seized him. His arms felt leaden, his legs numb. It was as if the water itself was thickening, closing in. He tried to call out, but the sound died in his throat, caught by something deeper, older, patient as stone. Below him, The water shifted. It felt alive, as if the loch was breathing, drawing him down, inch by inch. Panic surged. Jamie kicked, but nothing happened. It was like swimming through tar. He looked up at the sky, clouds racing across the moon, the stars spinning. And then he was gone. No splash, no cry. The next morning his friends searched the banks, calling until their voices cracked. No footprints, no clothes, just the loch, still as ever, reflecting the grey sky. Then Callum spotted it. On a flat stone by the shore, the name Jamie, gouged deep. The rock scored as if by desperate fingernails. The marks were new, the edges still crumbling. Underneath, a thin trail of water glistened, leading nowhere. They fetched the minister, who crossed himself and said nothing. No one swam in Loch that summer, or any summer after. The stone is still there. On some nights, when the wind dies and the water's like oil, you can hear a faint scratching, the slow grind of stone. The name grows deeper, letter by letter. And when the loch is hungry, it waits for the next soul who thinks they're braver than the dark. Some say Jamie Mackay was the first in a long line of the lost. His name, the beginning of a pattern carved in stone in silence. But if you travel east through the Highlands, beyond the reach of marked roads and memory, you'll find another body of water just as dark, just as patient. There too, the locals speak in hushed tones, and the rules are the same. Never swim alone. Never go at midnight. The names may change, the faces fade, but the loch, whatever name it wears, never forgets. And it always waits. Gather round the fire now, and let me tell you a tale, whispered through the pines and echoed off the still, black waters of the Highlands. This one's about a loch, but not the famous kind with tourists and postcards. No, this loch is tucked away deep in the glens, so remote it doesn't even have a proper name. Locals just call it the Drowning Hollow. Now, they say the loch's got a hunger, a silent, patient kind. It waits, watches, and if you swim it alone, it takes you, pulls you down, so quiet and clean, not even the moon hears a splash. Most folks around Glenmuir don't talk about it, but the story always circles back, especially come summer. Last year, a boy named Callum Mackay came up from Edinburgh to visit his gran in the village. 16 years old, all swagger and sarcasm, didn't believe in Highland nonsense as they called it. Thought the locals were just backward, superstitious folk with too much time and too many sheep. But Callum had friends in the village, Tommy, Isla and wee Ewan. They'd grown up hearing the tales, and every one of them knew the rule. Never swim the loch alone. One warm July night, they sat by the shore, fire crackling, stars scattered like salt across the sky. Someone dared Callum to swim across the loch. Said it was nearly a mile wide. Callum smirked. What? Are you scared of a puddle? It's just water. Tommy shook his head. It's not the water, it's what's beneath it. Isla whispered. People disappear. No footprints. Just gone. But Callum just laughed. Aye, alright then. I'll go at midnight. Give your ghosties time to wake up. And sure enough, As the clock struck 12, Callum stripped down to his shorts, strode to the water's edge, and dove in without a word. The loch didn't ripple, didn't protest, just accepted him. His friends waited. 5 minutes, 10, 20, nothing. No splash, no shout, no Callum. They lit torches, searched the shore. No footprints leading back, no wet clothes, no signs he'd ever returned. But what they did find stopped their hearts cold. Etched deep into the black, barnacled stone at the water's edge, like claw marks scraped by desperation, was his name. Callum. Not written with a stick, not carved with a knife, scratched into the rock. That was a year ago now. Search teams came, divers, drones, even sonar. They found nothing. No body, no trace. As if the loch had swallowed him whole and digested even the memory. But here's the bit that keeps me up some nights. 2 weeks ago, Tommy and Isla went back to the loch, just to look, maybe to say goodbye. And there, under Callum's name, a new one had been added. Isla. She hadn't gone in. Not yet. But sometimes they say the loch chooses. So if you're ever hiking in the Highlands and come across a loch so still it looks like a hole punched through the world, if the air around it feels colder than it should, and if you hear a voice, faint and familiar, calling your name across the water, don't answer. Because the loch doesn't just drown you, it remembers you. Though whispered in different glens and remembered by different names, Duchess and the Drowning Hollow, these lochs seem carved from the same shadow. Both waters lie hidden in the Scottish Highlands, unmapped, unspoken, where the rules of the natural world grow thin. Each tale echoes the other. A teenage boy full of bravado, a midnight dare, and the silent disappearance that follows. The locals don't need to compare notes. They already understand the truth. The loch, whichever name it wears, hungers for the proud and the lonely, marking its chosen not with death, but with absence. And in both places, the stone remembers what the world forgets.